Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Super7 Ultimates Wave 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Here we have the Green Ranger. So big thank you to the fine folks over at Super7 for sending out this first wave for me to check out and review for you guys. And I figured the Green Ranger is probably going to be the most popular, although I think the best figure in the wave, of course, is going to be the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord, or maybe even Goldar. But this one is definitely exciting nonetheless. Green Ranger is my favorite. Jason David Frank, rest in peace. We lost him earlier, or I guess a few months ago towards the end of 2022. It was very sad and unfortunate. But here we have the Green Ranger figure, which does have the two Jason David Frank likenesses. And we're going to check it out. So taking a look at the box, the Super7 Ultimates all come in a brown cardboard box. Shipper box has the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers logo on it. It says Green Ranger. Nothing there on the back. We have here the figure, so they all kind of look like this, where it has like the slip cover. So on the back, get the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers logo. Here in the front, we get that Dragon Zord power coin. It says Green Ranger there. And then we're going to lift up on that sleeve slip cover, and bam, we have the figure, and you can see his accessories and all things there. And the figure looks really good. Now, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. A lot of people on Instagram and Twitter have been commenting on the two head sculpts. The 3D renders of this figure, the promo images, versus what we have released. The skin tone's definitely different. We get a little bit less detail in the eyes and things like that. Now, one thing is that these are a very stylized type of figure. So the head sculpts would kind of represent like what you would have gotten in 1993. Same with the action figure and everything. Is if they released that toy in 1993 and it came with the head sculpt, that's similar to how it would look. Obviously this is updated for 2022, 2023, but it's still in that same stylized fashion there. So it's not hyper realistic to the actors' likenesses. And the same goes for like the Yellow Ranger. We get both the Trini and Aisha. The Trini head sculpt I think looks really good, but again, still stylized. So that's why you don't have the hyper realistic. But yes, the skin tone did come out a lot more pale than that digital render came out, which is unfortunate. But I do see the Jason David Frank likeness in there, and we'll take a look. And when I say that it's like kind of a throwback or homage to the old school toys, what they did with these accessories, they actually included what came with those 1993 Power Rangers. So we have a Power Blaster, or the Blade Blaster, excuse me, and it's an all-white plastic, because those toys back in 1993 came with an all-white plastic thing. And then for the Green Ranger, we get a silver Dragon Dagger. We also get like a nice one that's actually detailed and things, but as an homage to the old school toy, that's what we get there. So keep that in mind. On the back of the package we have here, it says Green Ranger. It does have a little bio. It says Tommy Oliver, the one and only Green Ranger, first debuted as the evil 6th Ranger controlled by Rita Repulsa and was able to defeat the Power Rangers and the Dino Megazord single-handedly. It took the combined strength of all 5 Power Rangers to break Rita Repulsa's spell. With his free will return, the Green Ranger could join the other Power Rangers in their fight against her. Tommy is an excellent addition to the team, wielding the power of the Dragon Dagger, which enables him to summon the control the mighty Dragon Zord to help the Rangers fight against evil. I probably won't read the bios for the rest of the figures, but I'm excited. Let's get this thing opened up. Green Ranger is my favorite, so we had to start with it. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a look at all the accessories and the figure. Okay, so quickly want to show you there are 2 trays. This is the bottom tray, which has the standard arms, which don't have the gold bands, because at the one time when he gave up the Dragon Shield, he would have not had the bands and things like that. So you would have like the standard Ranger look, plus the old school toy, the original Green Ranger toy didn't have those gold bands. And then we get the gold vac metal Dragon Shield there. We get some interchangeable hands, and then we have the awesome Morpher. So we'll definitely take a closer look at those. And then that top what am I looking with? The top bubble tray, there we go. You can see the old school accessories. I gotta remember what this one is. I don't know what that one was, so I'm gonna have to look that up and find out. We have the sword. I gotta look up what that sword is too. Man, I'm just out of my game when it comes to the Power Rangers. So we'll take a look at all this stuff after I get everything out of the trays. Oh man, there's a lot of accessories. Holy moly! So we have a total of 3 extra additional sets of hands. So that's 6 extra hands total. We get the two Dragon Daggers. These weapons. This is like the Mega Heater from a very specific episode that I need to look up, and then this is the Power Sword from another episode that I need to look up. So just crazy stuff. This Morpher is like ridiculously cool. This little teeny tiny Morpher is really cool. Like, I'm really excited to have that. That is just awesome. And then this dragon shield, because this pays homage to the original action figure when it came out. The problem is it brings back all kinds of nightmares for me when little Bryant was all devastated when he broke these clips putting this dragon shield together onto the action figure. So I will be very careful now as an adult, making sure that I do not break it as I put it on the action figure, but that is something that we have there, which is really cool. But again, really scary at the same time, because I'm telling you, when it happened to me when I was a little kid and it broke, I was so upset about it. It's a little stiff to remove. See? There we go. But it's pretty cool to have it. I'm actually really excited because it does bring back all kinds of nostalgia factors when having that old school toy. And then again, the arms without the gold bands. I have to figure out how much force to remove them from the body. I'm a little worried about that. But here we have it, and the figure itself is really cool. Now it does... it's not the over-articulated figures that we see with Hasbro and things like this. This is more of a collectible style. We do get single joints. Double joints would always be better on knees and elbows. Unfortunately, we don't have that. There's no thigh swivel, but you can get it into certain type of poses and things like that. But the helmeted head sculpt came out amazing. So let's get in for a closer look at the figure, and then we'll take a closer look at the accessories. Okay, so here we have a closer look at the Green Ranger, and look at that helmet. We got all the details in there. So the white in between the silver teeth of the dragon design. We get the red little jewel up there. Nice black, glossy black for the visor, silver for the mouth plate. Just came out looking really nice. As you can see, very excited about it. Looking at the shield, this is a rubbery piece. I thought it was going to be like a hard plastic piece, but it is a little bit of a rubbery piece. To take it off, you have to pop the head off and then pop the shoulders out, which, again, I haven't quite gotten to yet. Looking at the morpher there in the front, of course it is gold because he had a special one. The holster for the, or sheath for the dragon dagger is black, which is accurate, which looks pretty good. And looking at the details, we do get the black soles of the boots. So yeah, that is really nice and really cool. So now let's go ahead and take a closer look at the... Oh, before I forget, he does have the white diamond shape design there on the front, which is something that Hasbro did not do on their second release. So there's that. But again, now let's go ahead and take a look at those accessories and see how they look on the figure and things like that. Okay, so here is the dragon dagger, and take a look at that. The detail on there is really nice. You see the power coin design there, the gold and the black, the silver around the outside of the blade, the green on the inside. That just came out looking really good. And check this out. We get the special hand to hold it as if he's playing the flute. And that is pretty cool. I really like the way that came out looking. But yeah, that dragon dagger is awesome. This one, not so much. As you can see, it is just kind of large and clunky. There's always a hole in them. I don't know why they did that on those original toys in 1993. There's no design or anything on there. This is just silver paint. But again, this is an homage to the toys that came out around 1993. That they didn't put any details into those accessories and stuff. It all came in a solid color, and that's what we have here. And you know what? I think it looks pretty good. Now, in addition to that, and you might think it's weird, well, why does the Green Ranger have a blade blaster? Because he never had one in the show. That is correct. This is in here because the toy came with one as well, which was weird. I remember that. And it was just all white. Of course, it was a lot. They were huge back then. The figures were bigger too, but this is basically how it would look. I think less detailed back in 1993 with the toys, but this actually has some nice molded detail in there. And again, the hole there is because for whatever reason those old toys had holes in them as well. Here is the Mega Heater. This was a very specific episode against Turban Shell where Green Ranger on the inside of the monster used the Mega Heater to heat him up so they can defeat the bad guy. Sculpted nicely. We get a little bit of paint on there, gray, black, and red. That's pretty good. A lot of these accessories are all single episode type stuff. A lot of the stuff actually in Power Rangers was that way, but it's cool to kind of get those unique pieces, you know, for certain characters and things like that. And speaking of that, this is the Sword of Power. I think it was Lord Zed had said something about it was like created with the remnants of the Sword of Darkness, which is here. But we'll look at this. It's kind of a hefty one. It's actually got some weight to it because it is solid plastic. You can get the details in there, the silver for the blade, but got a lot of black on there with some gold. That looks pretty good. So it brings us to the Sword of Darkness, and this is awesome because look at that. Nice silver for the blade, the detail and the sculpt is all there. Look at that, we actually get like this threaded little sash thing at the end, and that is pretty cool. That looks really, really nice. It is fairly pliable though, so you don't have to worry about it snapping or anything like that. So that is definitely a nice touch. Get in for the closer look at the Morpher. Man, oops. That is just really cool. I love the way the Morpher came out and you got the handle so you'd be able to hold it. That just looks awesome. Again, kind of the detail there. You know, it's popped up during the morphing, you know, when they go to morph. So that is really cool. And then we have the two head sculpts. And again, I talked about this when we first opened this up. These are definitely stylized. I can absolutely see the resemblance of JDF in here. But again, it's not supposed to be hyper realistic to where it's a perfect actor likeness. It's kind of, you know, a stylized homage to old school toys. Like if this was a 1993 toy, this is how it would look. And you know what? I don't mind that. I don't display Rangers with their civilian heads anyway. That's just me and my opinion, and I know a lot of you guys are going to disagree, and you're guys going to hate these, and that's fine. I think they are okay. I think they are a little pale. If they were like with the 3D renders and the promo images, definitely had a little bit more color to them. He's very pale, and I think that's kind of the big difference. But we have like the good Tommy and the evil Tommy here, and that looks pretty good with the green sash, green hair tie. But yeah, those are the head sculpts. And then we have the dragon shield, which we will take a look at, and then we have those arms. I just have to figure out how much force will it take to pop those arms out of the shoulder. Let's see. Before we do that, let's go ahead and check out the head sculpts on here. The head fits on there nice. There's a ball joint in there, and it actually fits on quite nice. It's easy to take off, easy to pop back on, but there is the evil Tommy head sculpt on there. And let's get the good Tommy head sculpt on there. Pops on there nice, and there we have it. There is Jason David Frank, Tommy Oliver without his helmet. And then going back, and I forgot to kind of go over the hands. So the right hands, we get the flute playing hand, we get a sword or the dragon holding hand. We get a couple of different holding hands. I got to see which ones. These are going to be very specific to what they can hold, as you can see the shape of the hands. But here one, I guess this would be the sword one because we actually get the opposite hinge. So this would be more of a sword wielding hand there. For the left, we kind of get the same things, but here we have this gesturing hand there. The two fingers out. And again, we get those other hands. So, no, I guess maybe this isn't so much holding hand, but maybe like karate gesturing. One I'd have to really look up, but we have these additional hands here. They're pretty similar, but I can tell that there has to be different function, especially if the hinges are going to be kind of the opposite of each other. Okay, but now I'm going to pop out those arms. Okay, so I wanted to do this off camera, and it was a good thing I did it. When I pulled that left arm out, it flung up 3 feet in the air and fell right back down. So you want to be careful. You do have to apply a little bit of force, but you just have to grab it as high up onto that shoulder as you possibly can and just kind of work it on out. Let's see if I can get this one. Boom, and then you can get the arm out. Let's pop that head off. And then we can get this shield out of there, and you can see we have the diamond pattern. Let's get these regular style arms on there. And oh, I forgot. So I guess we would actually have additional hands because, you know, another set of arms, there's already hands on there. So we can pop that on there. Let's get the other one and pop that on there as well. And we have like a normal looking Green Ranger, which didn't happen often. I think it was only 1, maybe 2 times in the show, and there we have it. But let's take it further and let's go ahead and put this vac metal shield on there to make it old school like the toy was. I'm all nervous. Boom. And it just like sits there and rests there. That's how it was. The toy was probably not the greatest, but it's definitely a nice touch and brings some of the nostalgia factor, but it's really not practical like at all, but it's just a nice little addition to the action figure, so that is pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the articulation. So Super 7, they are not the most articulated figures. They are not designed necessarily for like ACBA shots. You know, there are things that you could do. For me, and what I can kind of see, kind of like with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line, a lot of nostalgia factor going into kind of that old school toy look, but updated to kind of 2023 to present day, but was still feeling like, you know, those old school figures that we used to have, and, you know, having similar accessories and things like that. So articulation is limited, so be aware of that. So looking up, you can get Green Ranger to look up that much, which is actually really good. You can get him to look down that much, which is really good. Not really going to be any pivot, but you can get a swivel in there. The shoulders you can get to go straight on out to do a T-pose. You can get a full rotation in there. There is an upper bicep swivel on this one. Actually, both of them do have an upper bicep swivel, as you can see there. Unfortunately, single jointed elbow, so you're only going to get a 90-degree bend at the elbow. You have a little bit, tiny bit of a swivel at the elbow, but really not a whole lot. The wrists all swivel, and then some of the hands do have the vertical hinge, while some have the horizontal hinge. Just kind of depends on which hands that you're using. Ab crunch, work that dragon shield kind of gets in the way. Ab crunch is only that far, so that is limited. Going back is a little bit more. You do get a breakup of the sculpt there. Unfortunately, you do have a waist swivel in there, so that works out pretty good. You get a little bit of tilt in there as well, and I didn't realize that until just now. So a ball joint at the waist, so tilt to his right. Let's see, the crunch back with the waist, you can go back that far, but I'm pulling it, you can kind of see some gap in there with the belt. And in fact, I just pulled it apart. It is on a ball joint, so you can just pop it right back on there. So just be aware of that. So I guess coming forward, working that ball a little bit, tiny bit more, not a huge amount, but you can. Legs go out that far apart. They don't kick forward very far, unfortunately, so you're only going to get that much. Well, you could push it a little bit that far. Oh, you can push it a little bit more. You can get it that far forward. Going back, you can actually get a fair amount going back in there. There's the tiniest bit of turn in there, and then you only get a single jointed knee, which gives you right at 90 degrees. You get a foot that hinges down quite a bit, hinge up a little bit, and you actually do get ankle pivot in there with peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So again, limited articulation, not going to be the super most dynamic poses. And I will say that I am disappointed in one big thing, and that's going to be the dragon dagger. So when you know, Tommy Oliver plays it as a flute, he uses his right hand. I always thought that was kind of weird, right? But he plays it. You cannot actually get this into a pose to where he is going to have that dragon dagger all the way at his mouth. Now you can kind of fake it from far away and do something like that, but you cannot, unfortunately, with the single jointed elbows, be able to get it all the way to his mouth. But again, you can kind of fake it by doing things like that. So if you have it on a shelf, you may not be able to notice it, but again, he just can't do it. And that's going to be the biggest disappointment for me, is that he cannot put it all the way to his mouth. So that is definitely unfortunate. So again, even if you crunch forward, you know, kind of as much as you can in certain poses, that is actually pretty close. But again, it's not completely accurate. As you can see, it is not directly at his mouth, which, to begin with, the show, it made no sense. You have a full-on enclosed helmet, and he's somehow playing a flute. But, you know, we loved it as a kid. We didn't think anything of it, and even still, you just have to... what's the word I'm looking for? Suspension of disbelief, right? You know, that's kind of how you have to do it. And again, you can fake it, and it can get really close, but it's just not quite at the mark. But it's definitely close. And then that's kind of at an angle, right? You should be able to look at it, you know, kind of straightforward, how he would have had it in the show. And it just, you know, we can't quite get there. It's close, but it's just not quite. And because everyone is going to see it, Super 7 Ultimates figures are a 7-inch scale, not 6-inch like the Hasbro action figures are. So here we have the Lightning Collection Green Ranger figure next to the Super 7 Ultimates, and you can see a few differences. Obviously, the shade of green, I think Super 7 actually nailed the color of it a little bit better, but it also kind of depends. Like, sometimes it looked a little bit more shiny, sometimes it looked a little bit more dull between the Japanese footage and the American footage, and kind of how they did that. You know, Super 7 gets some of the little details right, like the black on the bottom of the boots that Hasbro didn't do. I think they did it for like the Pink Ranger figure from Zeo or something, things like that. The articulation on the Hasbro is definitely better. There's a lot more points of articulation, and the articulation works a little bit better. Yes, absolutely. But with this, the Super 7 for me, it hits more of a nostalgia factor. Power Rangers was probably the first action figure line that I truly, really remember trying to get as many of them, loving all the Zords, loving all the Rangers and things. One of my earliest memories in collecting toys was finding the Green Ranger and Dragon Zord box set at Toys R Us and being able to get it that day, my mom buying it. Still one of my earliest memories, and I absolutely love it. So the Green Ranger is my favorite. Does the figure have some problems? Sure, you know, it's a matter of, you know, how you feel about the Super 7 articulation scheme. It's definitely not the greatest. I don't hate it, but, you know, could definitely be better. I don't have any of my figures posed in dynamic poses or display them in that way. I don't do ACBA shots. For me, it works out well, but I know for a lot of you guys, it's definitely going to be a problem and not something that you guys would be looking forward to. I think the figure actually came out great. I love the way it looks. The accessories are nice and detailed, and you know, different things like that I really like. But you know, that's just me and kind of how I feel about it, in my opinions. But you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of these Super 7 Ultimates figures? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you guys are planning to pick them up, what you guys think. Again, the head sculpts, the skin tone was a little bit off, but I see what they were going for in that stylized look. I love the little morpher and everything. So we have all that stuff, but you guys let me know in the comments below. I'm happy with it. Green Ranger is my favorite. I can't wait to see the additional figures in the wave, but to see going forward kind of what they have planned for Wave 2, Wave 3, Wave 4, and beyond. I was lucky enough at Power Morphicon to sit in at the panel going over the action figures and kind of the updates and what we're going to see. There's lots to come. The Tyrannosaurus Dinozord, like, that's going to be insane when we get to that figure and look. Goldar is pretty crazy. So stay tuned, and we'll get to all those figures, each one in its own video. But again, you let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, hit that join button, become a channel member to be a part of the MCU Collective, and as always, thank you for watching.